Good morning, guys, and we are back with another Elite Coach Live. Actually, live this time because the past few weeks we have been a bit mega busy. So, trying to nail down guests, trying to nail down time slots just to make it work. This just couldn't make it happen, but we still brought you previous great content. So, hopefully, you guys have been enjoying that. I am joined by Mr. Brendan Chapman, talking about hard things to nail down. Brendan is probably one of the hardest one. He's like a £55 note trying to get one of them. It's ridiculous. But Brendan, how we doing, mate? Are we all good?
Yes, good. Thanks, Steve. Good to be back. Good to see everybody, and looking forward to some interaction today. So get your comments in, get your questions in, and let's see where we go with this one.
Absolutely, guys. And today's topic is very, very crucial. Listen, I don't need to tell you that it's tough. You know, it's quite challenging times for everybody in the industry. So that's why we want to show up. So the more questions you ask us, hopefully we can try and shed a bit of light on that. And we are joined by Paolo from Italy. Paolo, hope you are doing well, buddy. Hope life is all good. I love Italy. Italy is one of those places where I just love going. Rome is just a phenomenal place. So if you want us to run a workshop in Italy, I'm more than welcome to jump on a plane for you, Paolo. No problem at all. But today, guys, we're going to be talking about thinking laterally and handling the current climate. Okay, so you might be thinking, what on earth are you talking about when we're talking about thinking laterally? And I thought, well, me and Brendan could probably muddle our way through and trying to explain it. But because I'm a visual kind of guy, simplistic mind, I thought I'd get this great diagram up on the screen. So I thought I'd get that. So this is what we're talking about when we're talking about thinking laterally, guys. And the reason why it's important is because we've all got problems right now, right? But a lot of people at the moment, a lot of coaches we're speaking to, and me and Brendan were chatting about this the other day. We're just saying people just seem to be trying to work harder on the same stuff. They just seem to be stuck in one thought process and just trying to hammer through the wall and wondering why they're frustrated. But as you can see, laterally is going around the problem to get to the solution. So, Brendan, you were chatting about this, about like a few different situations you've had with other coaches and stuff and mentoring that you've been going through people. So do you want to just elaborate a little bit from your point of view, mate?
Yeah. Well, I think that the kind of overriding pillar, and wherever you are, wherever you are in your business, wherever you are in terms of your finances and other things right now, and totally get that it's an unprecedented time, but it's also a time for opportunity. And I definitely think to come back to the core Jim Rohn statement here of never wish it was easier, wish you were better. And this is an opportunity, the biggest de-risking opportunity for everybody is to upgrade your skill set and upgrade your mindset. And ultimately, this is the crux of what we're getting into, isn't it, Steve? That we cannot just tackle things in the same old way that we've always tried, maybe had a little bit of success, maybe not. And a couple of things come to mind for me that is core right now. So the first one would be, and this is a bit of a dose of reality, is why do you think, anybody watching this, why do you think that you have a right for your model, for your business, for your structure to work right now? And ever, be it 5 years ago, be it 5 years from now, we don't have any right for anything that we're doing to work, to click in. What we need to do instead is think about what we're offering and think about how it suits. And the best thing we can do right now, aside from upgrading our own skills, is talk to people that we serve in, speak to those people, ask them, how can we do this better? And it reminds me of, there's a story that there's a chap that I know that's, to be frank, nothing to do with fitness at all. Totally different, unrelated industry. And he did actually pluck up the courage to leave his day-to-day job, his employed job, to go into a business or to try to build his own business. And I applaud anybody that does that. That's really, really fair. Good on him. And the challenge he found, and this is the crux of it, is that he basically wanted to just do his job for himself. So he wanted to be paid more money as a consultant doing his job. And actually, it was pretty obvious to see that from the outside looking in, that the market doesn't want that service in that way. Right? It wants the outcome, but it doesn't want that service in that way. Now, just bringing this back to what we do here, I'm not for a second saying that nobody wants one-to-one personal training, for example, because that's not true. There is and always will be a demand for that. But people want the outcome. They want to look good. They want to feel good. They want the community. But they might not want the delivery model that you are married to, the one-to-one model, the small group model, whatever it is, even the online model. People are going back from online into gyms now. So if you're watching this and you're kind of a little bit stuck, people are watching and you've got questions, do type them in because we can tackle those. But if you're just watching this, you're a bit stuck, you're doing a bit of this, you're doing a bit of that, you're making a bit of money, but it's not quite where you want to be. My advice to you would be just pause, gather together what you've got, put it down. How many clients have you got? How many people have you had that were with you and now are not with you, your ex-clients? How many people are you speaking to? And just start to speak to them and say, what would really work for you then? And that can be conversations around what you're delivering, the service. It can be conversations around the price point. And just come away from it, I think. So how do I design this? How do I serve my market better? How do I deliver my outcome, my world-class outcome, and do not downgrade what you want to achieve for people, but how do I marry that to how they want it to be delivered in the current climate? And I was speaking to yesterday 2 different fitness business owners. So gym owners, I should say. And it's not fair to do that. But one of them really struggling, and very much when I spoke with them, the message was, the model is not working, but I'm just continuing with that model. I'm just driving on and it's not working, and potentially in financial difficulty now, trying to bring in investment, trying to get people to help them. Fantastic. But actually it's re-examining in the model. The other is doing actually really well, was talking very promising about turning the corner. They're getting between 5 and 10 a day from their Facebook ad campaigns. They're adding people at good price points, 99 to 150-ish a month. And they're growing the business, and they're looking to the end of 2023 to be in a completely different place. They're already in a completely different place, but their revenues will be broadly double. And this is a gym that already does tens of thousands a month revenue. So the tables are turning, I think, Steve. But in the theme of thinking laterally, we have to go back to, how do we achieve the outcome? Let's redefine the outcome. What do our people actually want? Okay, what is the process to get them there in a way that is suitable for that market? Be it the one-to-one, small group, online, combination of that, large classes, whatever it may be. And if we don't do that, you're in danger of getting stuck and losing clarity and losing where you are, I think. Does that make sense, mate?
Yeah, because a lot of coaches I've been speaking to at the moment, it seems to be coming quite common. A lot of people saying, yeah, but fitness is a luxury. So when people are cutting costs and trying to save money, like, fitness is a luxury. And I always challenge that, and I go, who's told you that? Well, it's just something I've seen. Have you asked your customers? If the people you're coaching, if they're telling you that, then that's justified. But if you're not even asking them, they might be looking at all of their direct debits every month, and you might be 100% bottom of the list that they say, I cannot do with that. I can cancel Netflix, I can cancel Sky, cancel Virgin, whatever, but I cannot cancel that fit. I will make that work. But yeah, if you're going in the mindset of saying, oh, fitness is a luxury, so I'm going to have to change, then you're actually compounding your problem. You know, and it's difficult because we're all getting conditioned at the moment with the environment that we're in, the news, etc., etc. We're bombarded that, but you've got to go past the problem, and like you just said earlier, go back to the solutions and what you're trying to do, and then reverse engineer from that. No different to training.
That's on you, isn't it, Steve? In terms of, you know, if somebody fills out a form or inquires with you and you don't sign them up, the first thing you're going to do is say, oh, yeah, affordability, they can't afford it, or it's not a luxury. But they filled out the form and they inquired with you and they have an interest. So irrespective of all of that, your offer is not compelling enough. The outcome is not being clearly communicated enough. You are not showing the energy, the enthusiasm that resonates with the individual that wants that. And you've got to take that responsibility. You've got to take that on, that if your gym or your business or your service isn't growing right now, it is because of you. It is because of you. It's not because of the market. You haven't adapted quickly enough. You haven't created new things. But the good thing is you can do all of that. And if you go back through other previous ECLs, and I've said this many, many times, talked about the biggest de-risk being upgrading your skill set and upgrading your mindset. Very much so. The second biggest is building your audience, building your community, and doubling down on that now. And those people are the people that will become your clients. But it might be a product or service that you haven't even thought of yet. Maybe if you ask that question today to all your people, say, why don't you just put everything into an online course for us, please, Steve? I just want to do it at home. Or can't you do home-based training? Or can't you make an ebook? Or where's your recipes? They will give you the ideas. You just need to implement that and be agile with that. And it's not easy. I'm not saying that, but it is fairly simple. Speak to the people that you want to work with, ask them what they want, and go and build it for them. And don't be wedded to what's gone before. All of that should be off the table. As in general, Steve, I think, not just because of the market we're in, just in general right now.
Yeah, it's the only way that you can move forward and have that sense check. But I also think it also highlights the work that you are not doing, and sometimes that's why coaches get scared of that. But this is why you need to be doing it time and time again. The common one, I always say, why do you want to be in the fitness industry? Well, I want to help and impact people. Fantastic. It's a really, really credible thing. Are you doing everything you possibly can to impact people then? Well, I sent out a post. That's like putting your hand up in the busiest nightclub or going to Glastonbury and putting your hand up. Say, well, I put my hand up and nobody wanted to speak to me. It just doesn't work like that. So it's all about going back to that clarity, the consistency. But yeah, like I say, it's all on you. No one is coming to do it for you. Nobody's coming to solve the problems for you. You can have these discussions and you can create that, but you've got to take action time and time again, and now more than ever, there's actually going to be more people in situations where they're going to depend on you. And it might be the fact that your post or your video, your vlog, your free recipe, your ebook or whatever might be the trigger that sets them on their path to an incredible journey. And you need to start thinking like that. A farmer doesn't go to a field and plant one seed and go, oh, well, I've got no crops. That one seed let me down. Plant thousands and thousands and thousands for the hope of 10 to 100 plants. That's the way you've got to see the way you're putting your messaging out there and your content.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think one thing that's probably worth us exploring here is when we say this phrase, "It's on you." I think that can be a little bit intimidating for certain people. And so what we're not saying is you got to do everything yourself. Not at all. It's more take the responsibility for your own success. And one of the biggest things that I think when we come under the term thinking laterally is actually leveraging your own time more effectively. And I totally appreciate that in the current climate, and we should discuss the current climate as well. Yeah. Just what do we mean by that in a second, but just going with that for a bit, it can weigh heavy, and the responsibility can weigh heavy, and the temptation is when we're in that kind of staring up the mountain, let's just call it that, the temptation is to turn around and run, isn't it? To give it up. And believe you me, there will be people maybe not watching this session, but there will be people that are down in tools and exiting the industry, and that is an opportunity. If you've ever wanted to open up your own gym, if you've ever wanted to take over an area, whatever it may be, this is a very, very good time to knock on gym doors and speak to those owners and say, what does that look like? But along the theme of leveraging your time and not doing everything yourself, it's actually thinking, what help do I need? Who could work with me? Partnerships are key. You know, your clients are already working with, for example, physiotherapists. They're already going to certain coffee bars. They're going to certain restaurants. So revisit that. Everybody's trying to build community at the moment. Hospitality's had a tough 2 or 3 years. So an excuse to bring people into the local coffee shop to listen to you do your 5 steps to better movement, your 5 steps to looking better and feeling better, potentially a really, really good opportunity to dial into their customer base, who are potentially your customer base. So I think for me, the term "it's on you" absolutely applies, but don't mistake that for got to do it all yourself. I would suggest to you that you've got to be thinking laterally about who can help me, which partners are good, which businesses are good, a synergy for me. And staring into the abyss or staring from the bottom of the mountain to the top will scare certain people, and they will want to give up. And frankly, that's a great opportunity for you. If you independent gyms in your area that are gyms that you're aware of, but you don't necessarily know them, great time to knock on their door, to make friends with them. And you might just find that they say, "Steve, why don't you take this gym on?" You know, and it might not, and you don't necessarily need to be put by any of the costs of that. There might not be much cost at all. Building opportunities that way is a fantastic opportunity in the current climate. So what's your thoughts on the current climate then, Steve? Because I don't want to kind of implant that we're in a really difficult time, because actually I think it's just crazy time, not necessarily a difficult time.
I think the current climate for me is a complete disruption of the norm. You know, the comfort, and we've had this, and it's kind of the hangover of the past couple of years with obviously with the COVID lockdowns and stuff. So everything's constantly shifting. As human beings, we like things that are constant. Our brain likes to keep us safe. That's why the brain will always tell you to play small, right? So at the moment, the current climate is, we're getting told on one area is costs are rising, inflation's at 9% highest in a long time. You know, you've got back and forth, he said, she said. We're in this position where we're sort of trying to escape in what can only be described as pantomimes from Hollywood and stuff like that. So the current climate for me is destabilization in terms of the constants, the norms. I think everything's very, very emotional driven now. So for me, when I say it's on you, I mean what's on you is grabbing hold of your own mindset and focusing on how you process things. Because remember, it's not about being positive all the time, because you can't have a positive without a negative. Doesn't work. You speak to any electrical engineer about that. There has to be a negative, there has to be a positive, but it's upgrading your mindset to be able to handle that. When I say it's on you to start thinking about, what can I control? What can I do? How am I going to process this? And how am I going to give it a way where I can have rational thought and give reasoning, that is, rather than the emotional of, oh, well, everybody can't afford anything at the moment. Cost of living's going up, so nobody's going to afford PT.
Yeah.
That's what I mean when I say it's on you. It's that mindset. And I think it's destabilization. Everything's kind of pushing on a negative. So you've got to think laterally and go, here's a negative. How do I go here to get to here?
Yeah. And I think that's really well put. And I think that people who adapt, this is the adaptation phase now. We're now coming out, we're out of the conditions we were faced with a couple of years ago. But now is the time for you to build down, to build your audience, to ask them what they want, and to be agile with your model and potentially recalibrate what that model is. Now is not the time for you to say, I'm a one-to-one PT and that's what I'm going to do, and I'm fixed to that. It's really, you probably will get some clients, but why would you be stuck to that model? It's actually a time to evolve, to make things a little bit more appropriate for people at this point in time. And I think if you're watching this, I think you should set your bar high. I think you should set the bar high to say, how can I grow quickly out of this? What model would that look like then? What do I need? Do I need an app? Do I still need my own gym, or do I now need a gym? And those two people could completely swap, Steve, couldn't they?
Yeah.
There could be somebody coming out of a gym thinking, actually, I'm going to move into the more online, serve that market space, and somebody else thinking, do you know what? I'm done with online. I'm back in the community, and actually, I'll buy your gym. Thanks very much. And that'll serve. That they'll spend those funds building their app. That's the way it could work right now. Nothing's off the table. The key thing is the market decides. The market decides. You don't necessarily decide. You can have intelligence and you can steer, but the market will vote with coming to your classes, coming to your courses, buying your products. And that's where you got to adapt. And I think have that firmly in your minds, guys. The market has the answer. So go and ask them.
Yeah, 100%. And I want to give an example, final little one, because I want to make sure that we sort of tackle this one. So one of the things I struggle with right now is deciding exactly who to niche down to. Would you suggest specifying down to a single sport? So this is where lateral thinking will ultimately help you massively. So it's right. The problem is I'm struggling where to focus in terms of niching down to. So laterally, you need to go out and need to think about, right, well, what's the solution? What are you trying to offer? What's the end result you are trying to get? And that is your income. That is what you are good at, and also what you are passionate about. And I think you have to look at it in those ways, because a lot of people say, just go in what your passion. If you do your passion and never feel like a day's work and all that kind of stuff. But actually, at this moment in time, it might just be the fact is just focus on what you're good at. And then pair that with how much money you need to make. If you're in a position where I'm actually hitting the money that I'm making, so now I can focus on my passion, then great. So I think for high level performance here, I think what I would suggest is, what are the outcomes you are offering? What are you trying to do here? What do you want to do? What does your lifestyle look like, or what do you want it to look like in terms of that lifestyle design? And then that will figure out of your niche, because then ultimately you've got your outcome. Then you can go and do your market research. Who's in my market now? You've already said you work a lot in tennis now, but who else do you serve? What else can you do? You know, it's Nathan. Yeah, no worries, mate. But ultimately, that's where I will be starting to think now. Get a blank piece of paper, a whiteboard. If you're a coach, you've definitely got a whiteboard. You've definitely got access to it. Okay. Put the problem, struggling to find my niche. Look for your solutions. Look at your lifestyle. Look at what you're good at. Look at what you're passionate about. And in that way, in that three-pronged attack, I think the motivation and the creative side of your brain will start to give you the answers that you're looking for, rather than just staring, should I do this? Should I do that? What about this? What about that? Don't know if you agree there, Brendan.
I think you've nailed it. And you mentioned tennis being one of your, you work a lot in tennis. Yeah, I mean, if you want to change or do different sports, then go and do some business development. Go and speak to those people, and that's the biggest de-risk you might find when you go and knock on some doors. For example, say rugby and boxing, and what you might think, do you know what, tennis is great. I'm sticking with it.
Mm-hmm.
You solve your problems by having conversations, and one of the things that I would say, speaking from experience, I used to work a lot in tennis, and it's a fantastic sport to work in. And sometimes we have this strange habit as human beings of having that grass is always greener, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
And you look, excuse the pun, because we're in grass court tennis season, but the grass is always greener, and you kind of think, I want to work in a different sport. And actually what you've got and what you've built are fantastic. And it could well be that doubling down or even taxing down, working with those partners, making yourself into a really well-known, sought-after tennis movement coach, tennis S&C coach, that could be, and I'm just playing devil's advocate, that could be the best play for your career, and you might find that you really, really enjoy that. So you won't know until you start doing some stuff, until you make some zigzags, and you find out. But I do think, have an open mind that actually what you've got could be a place for you to drill down even further into that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hopefully that helps, mate. Brendan, I know you've got to shoot off, mate. I know you've got stuff to do. So what I'm going to do, guys, if you've got any other questions, get them on. We'll let Brendan kind of fly up, and I'm going to get the other slide. But Brendan, anything else that you want to share before you've got to shoot, mate?
I'm sorry I've got to go, everybody, but just nature of the beast. But the only one I just want to tackle, though, is, and I can't actually put it up. Can you just stick that Gary Jackson's comment up, Steve?
Yeah.
Regarding leads, how and when should you follow up on leads without feeling like you're pestering? Lots of interest on initial inquiries, but they seem to not want to take the next step. The best time to follow up on leads is between 2 and 5 minutes minimum, if not quicker, after you find that you've got that lead, however that comes to you, whether they text you, whether they fill out an online form, give them a call and have a conversation. And the second part of that, they seem to not want to take the next step. That, and Steve, I'm sure you can shed some really good light on this as well, that is all about how compelling your offer is and what you're actually offering to people. Is it matched to their outcomes? Thought about community and environment and experience in there as well. So really, really mindful on how compelling can you make that offer. And remember, the first step has got to be a very small step, even if it's a week's free trial or even a couple of sessions. Just take small steps, break that down, because your outcome and your offer might be fantastic, but the step is just too big for people to take. So there's a couple of facets to that one, and I hope that helps. And on that note, I've got to shoot.
No worries, mate. Catch you in a bit, buddy.
Great, everybody.
There we go, guys. So you're stuck with my ugly mug. And I'm going to answer this one on behalf of Brendan. And the reason being is because I've asked this question myself. Great minds think alike, mate. So obviously, Brendan over the years went from an S&C coach to running S&C education. So what you got to look at is, obviously, Brendan was working as a coach, but as he was running S&C education, he was still coaching on the side. But he realized there was a point where he ran one workshop, incredibly popular, filmed it because he knew that was going to be a digital asset, ran another one, but it wasn't just giving up the coaching and going all in on that. It was, right, I'm already coaching. How do I leverage it? So this is what Brendan's done over the years, is leveraged what he's good at, what he's knowledgeable at, and how can he sort of leverage it and make sure that he keeps on growing and growing and growing. And he will be the first to say it's not an easy transition because you have to put the work in elsewhere. But because he's built on, right, I'm still doing my coaching, still getting great results. I'm leveraging it. I'm wanting to feed back to the community. So I've got a digital product here. So I'm going to sell that while still going here. And all of a sudden, as the income from this raises up, actually, I could go all in on this and rocket it. So then that's when that starts to go down. So that's what you need to be looking at there, is that lateral thinking of how can you leverage what it is you are doing now. So, for example, you were talking earlier about your work in tennis. You do a lot of work in tennis and stuff. Then what products could you create and leverage right now? How many ebooks could you create? How many exercise libraries could you create? You know, what else could you do to enhance the service that you are giving now? And then that might be your transition to the digital side of things, you know? And then as that grows, then you might say, right, now I'm in a position where I can go all in. But Brendan will be the first to say, as he transitioned into a different sphere and different parts of the business, he had to build his team out. So obviously, he was working with different coaches when he was doing the S&C coaching. Then went into the business side of things. He then had to start getting other people to help him with the business side of things. And that's that thinking laterally aspect of it as well. So hopefully that answers your question, and I'll put that to him so he can follow up with that as well. But guys, if you've got any questions, and I'm just going to share this again, because I want you guys to sort of, if you can, possibly take a screenshot or, you know, draw it down on a piece of paper or whatever it may be. Is what can you do right now that would help you sort of start thinking laterally to handle your current problems or current issues that you're facing? Okay, so just write down, you know, what you draw it is as elaborate as that picture that's on the screen, you know, but have a look at it and go, right, what is my problem right now? What's making me feel stuck? You know, is it your mindset? Is it an actual tangible problem? I can't figure out this, can't figure out that. Get to the solution. Think about what is the solution. Think about what is the ideal. What do you want to happen off the back of it? So Gary's there, somebody's inquired, but they're not taking the next step. What's the ideal situation? They join the program. What steps do they need? Micro steps do they need to be able to join the program? Is it, right, okay, here's some testimonials from so-and-so who's in a similar position. Here's a free taster session, no obligation, just come down and watch the session, for example. What micro steps can you put in place that matches the offering that you're putting out there? Okay. So, do you have any recommendations on people who are good at building apps? What I'd ask there, Monica, is in terms of what do you want to build with the app? There's quite a few people out there. Expert Apps is a good one. I know Passion Dan or Passion.I or something like that. I think that's the site that they've got. I think they do some stuff as well. So building those custom apps. And I think, but what I would look at is, what do you want that app to do? What does it need to do? And is there a halfway between that you can play and try with now? You might be in that position where you are using a current app and it's like, I can't do any more with it. It doesn't do what I need to do. So apologies if that is the case. you know. So, but guys, make sure that you do write down this problem, because now more than ever is going to be a time when coaches have to adapt, have to change certain things up, and start to leverage what they currently do, you know. And the reason being is not in a negative sense, because work's going to dry up, but it's about seizing the opportunity. If you can leverage the work that you're doing now in a position which other opportunities arise further down the line, you're going to be able to grab them. You know, the people who made a huge success in lockdown were the people who possibly already had the exercise libraries, had the nous to go online a little bit sooner, who could then really reap the rewards of when the opportunity presented itself, when all of the gyms shut. You know, so sometimes it's not about, right, I'm going to create an ebook, I have to do something with it now. If you're not in that frame of mind, you're not in that. But start thinking laterally about, this is what I offer now, one-to-one. What do I do in that one-to-one? How could that transition if tomorrow I broke my leg? Touch wood, that doesn't happen. How could I seamlessly transition into something else so I could still service my clients? What information are you giving out to your current clients that if you just tweaked it a little bit, it could become a digital asset? Something that could go on your website and it could just bring additional revenue every now and again if you drive some marketing spend to it. You know, what could you do in terms of your network? If you know a lot of people hang out at the same place, Brendan used the coffee shop analogy before. Do you know people in your local running community that you could go out and say, hey, I'm going to do a presentation on this. Do you want me to do it exclusively to the running club? Always start thinking about these different things now, guys, because for every downturn, there's always an upturn. Always. It's just the way of the world. If you go back through history, for every single downturn, whether it be economic or whatever it may be, there is always an upshot. There is always opportunities around you. So start thinking about potential problems that you've got now and how are you going to work your way around them. Because as you can see on the diagram on the screen there, you've got a problem. You're trying to get to that one solution. If you think laterally, you might get potential 3 or 4 solutions off the back of it. So hopefully you found that helpful, guys. If you've got any questions that I can help with now, you know, then feel free to drop them into the chat box and stuff like that. You know, hopefully I was able to answer a few questions on that. Heather, it's our pleasure as always. I know it's something that we really look forward to and showing up for you guys each week on this as well. So Monica, glad that helped. But like I say, if you want further on that, again, just reach out to us. And absolutely, mate, just drop me a call. I know you're on the mentorship now, so we'll get stuck into those strategy calls very, very soon. But as always, guys, if you need anything, you know where I am. There's no hidden agenda here. You know, it is literally just trying to give back to a community that gives us so much. So use these calls, use this channel of information for your development and the betterment of your services. So if you need anything, you know where we are, guys. But until next week, guys, have a great one, and we'll catch up again very, very soon.